Sorry, what the f*** is Allsvenskan? Hello, everybody, and welcome to What the Fuck is Allsvenskan? I am also extremely happy to be here today because I managed to survive another week of Allsvenskan and also being an Arsenal fan. It's been tough, but I made it. Joining me today is Iron Mike Woodfine, who surprisingly is not related to Iron Mike Tyson, but he's here with us today. Hello, Mike. Okay, so for those of you listening and not watching on video, he just did the Swedish nod, which is a classic greeting when you don't feel like using your voice, or actually just any Swedish greeting, basically. As little,
it's a classic non-verbal Swedish greeting. They just kind of look at you, do one nod and a blink.
Is it down or up, the nod? Is it an up nod or is it down nod?
The up nod is more like, how are you doing? The down nod is more like, I know you're there.
Yeah.
Like
I've noticed your presence,
yes.
But I'm not going to engage in conversation with you.
No, exactly.
Brilliant. And also joining us today is a man so grumpy he should serve as a warning for anyone thinking about becoming a Spurs fan. Neil Cook, everybody.
I don't even. I know this is an Allsvenskan podcast, so I can't talk about it too much. I don't really want to, but my footballing weekend was not filled with joy and delight, unfortunately. So yes, I am quite grumpy today, as should you Arsenal fans be.
I don't know. We're still top of the league. I'm fine.
You
not for long, but
let's be honest.
Yeah.
It was so nice to switch off from that result and watch some Allsvenskan and just pretend nothing that didn't happen. That whole second half against West Ham just didn't happen.
That's exactly what I did. I was like, okay, this is not going well. So to save my mental sanity, let me watch some Swedish football because
Halmstad are beating Euro Gordon.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. My heart doesn't fall to pieces. Well, we got a lot to get through today. It's been, as ever, another eventful week of Allsvenskan. More eventful than I thought it would be when I looked at the slate of games. But let's kick it off with a highlight of the week. And let's start with Mike. What was your highlight of the week?
Okay, for me, it's got to be, I don't know if you saw this, but Halmstad's physio was playing a bongo or a hombre or a tumbadora or one of those round drums in the changing room after the victory over Animal Park. And it was just, they cut to the dressing room and there he is doing a little beat.
Sorry, what point in the match was it?
After the game.
After the game,
yeah. And
celebratory bongo, Neil. Have you never done that?
To be honest, as much as that's fun, the most impressive thing about this story was how many round drums Mike could name.
Well, see, I didn't want to get it wrong,
He kept on talking, and all I was just thinking, that's a lot of round drums. He's just got through.
There was also the conga as well, which is another one, but I don't think it was that. That's
he just keeps on impressing me. Well done.
I mean, you never failed to amaze us, Mike. So, okay. But, all right, hold on. So, is this a regular occurrence?
I don't know. And this is what it got me thinking. These drums must have been in his physio bag. Otherwise, where else is he going to pack it? Is he just going to carry it on the team bus? So, was he running on the pitch in the game with a couple of drums in his bag?
Could you imagine if you brought the wrong bag?
Yeah,
and someone's laying there like, oh no, get the magic sponge. Oh fuck, I've got the bongos.
Someone's pulled the hamstring and he's there like, oh well, I have a drum.
What happens if you lose the match? Does he play like a somber sort of funeral tone bongo? If there's a loss. Fucking Andy's gone like Star Wars on us.
Is that Star Wars? I didn't know.
That's the what was that? We are March of the
Wasn't
Valkyries.
It the Death March? I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's gonna if we've got this wrong, there's gonna be all kinds of Star Wars fury on the internet.
don't worry. I don't think there's many Star Wars fans listening to this podcast, so I think we're safe. But
They're everywhere.
that was impressive highlight of the week, Mike. I didn't see that because I didn't watch that game. But that is absolutely epic. And if this is a regular occurrence, I'm going to have to start tuning in. So, yeah, great. All right. Highlight of the week. Top that, Neil. What's your highlight of the week?
Can I have two? Am I allowed two highlights of the week?
Yeah, go on. Then. I mean, you are suffering this week.
I made a return to competitive football this weekend.
Ooh.
Which wasn't my highlight. But one thing sort of was my highlight. It shouldn't be my highlight, I've just realised, but it was quite funny. Is one of my teammates got like really headbutted. Not just a little bit. It just got like absolutely like, if you can imagine what Zidane did to what was his name?
Maserati.
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 He did that in his chest.
Maserati.
Yeah, he did that in his chest. But I'd literally just come onto the pitch and like this fella with that amount of force did it in one of my teammates' heads.
Oh my god!
It like full on made a crack.
A Glasgow kiss, as they call it.
And the ref didn't send him off.
What?
It was really bizarre. But anyway, that was not necessarily a highlight of the week, more of a shock of the week for me, just watching that whole thing play out.
Are you playing in the UFC?
Yeah.
7th division?
No, I think that's... we'll get onto it later, but I think that's what Malmö and Göteborg were trying to audition for. Yeah.
Speaking of Malmö Göteborg, my highlight of the week. Can we just talk about the fact that Malmö have signed Pontus fucking Jansson, Premier League level quality centre back, who's been captaining high-flying Brentford. He's decided he's gonna have a kickabout in the Allsvenskan. Like, this guy is really good. I've watched him dominate Arsenal far too many times, and he's 32. He's in his prime as a defender. What the fuck have they promised him in Malmö? Is it like free falafel for life? And then, as part
Swedish
of the signing
ladies,
it's gonna look like John Guidetti after a couple of weeks.
Oh yeah, exactly. Kebab pizza, all you can eat.
Yeah, but what a steal as well! It's a free transfer as well. It's just, and Malmö already have a really good team, and they signed Cornelius, that Canadian centre back who's been fantastic, and they can partner him. This team is not only going to be a team challenging for Allsvenskan. This is a team, if it gets to the qualifier, if it wins the league, gets to the Champions League qualifiers, goes through those, it's a team that will try and finish third in the Champions League group and get into the Europa League and maybe get knocked out at the quarterfinals. But I mean, they're putting together a really good team there.
Yeah. I mean, could you imagine like having no knowledge of Allsvenskan and picking them as your winners? Oh wait, yeah, that's what I did. You guys are so screwed when that comes in, because I mean Pontus Jansson coming in what, June, July, or whenever the transfer window opens. I mean that team is going to be tough to play against.
But I feel like they might lose Hugo Larsson. But we'll get onto him later.
We'll get onto him. But anyway, what a
Neil's
steal
other
for Malmö.
highlight.
Oh yeah, Neil. Sorry,
I had two highlights.
Yeah, two.
Oh, I'm sorry, mate. Go on then.
Okay, I feel left out. But no, it's all right. We can take my second highlight as an end of show treat, I feel.
Ooh, okay. All right.
It's important.
It's going to be a good
news. It's big news in our podcast world.
Ooh, okay. All right.
Take it later.
That means people actually have to listen to the end of the podcast. So yeah, I like it. You marketing genius, you, Neil.
Or they can skip.
Shh, don't say that. Let's crack on then to the main match of the week that we are have the pleasure of reviewing, and it is Gothenburg, aka Göteborg, against Malmö, aka Malmö. That was my best sconce accent. Hope you appreciated that. And as with every week, let's kick it off with our 10 words or less summary of the game. Neil, what have you got for us?
I really want to cheat. Again.
Again?
Well, I cheated. I was supposed to have one highlight of the week. I've had two, and now I want to cheat on having many more words than 10.
All right, I'll allow it.
How many?
Just because
How many?
you're suffering.
This is a boring podcast because I'm sitting here counting on my fingers. While I'm doing it. I don't
I'll
know,
edit
like
it.
20. Let's estimate 20.
Okay.
You're
well,
going
this
to
could be-
double up.
I'll tell you what. I'll double up, but you can
You're playing your
effectively
double
give me
card.
half the points for it to see who gets
All
the
right.
better 10.
Go on then.
Okay.
You can never double up on this week just because you're a Spurs fan and you're suffering.
No, thank you. You have to think about the context of the match, and we'll talk about it more. But my highlight of the week is, or my 10 words. Sorry, my 10 words of the match, which are actually 20 words, is floats like a butterfly, stings like a bee. Marcus Berry throws elbows. Kissateline stings like a bee.
Oh, okay. You've gone all
That's what I've gone with.
Muhammad Ali.
I have.
I like it. And after 10 words, I mean, you would have just stolen somebody's line. So I think we have to give you the extra words just to get your match description in.
Like, because I
Otherwise
tried
it'd
to
just be
cut out
Muhammad
the
Ali.
first bit, and there was no context to it. I sort of have to have the first bit.
All right, I'll allow it. And did Mark Spoke through an elbow? Where was I when that happened?
It was like minute 2.
Yeah, right at the beginning.
That was really
Jesus.
harsh.
Oh, yes. I remember. I got you. All right, Mike, can you top Neil's 20 words or less review in 10 words or less?
Yeah, no. I mean, I got 10. It doesn't really make much sense, but wait. Okay. Mr. Mertet was my father's name. You can call me Malmo. Wait,
Run it again.
Okay.
Just one more time for us, Mike.
It's such a tongue twister. Okay. Mr. Master Mertet was my father's name. You can call me Malmo.
Oh, Jesus. That is brilliant. I think all the jobs you got copywriting have just been withdrawn.
I've also got to say 10 words or less.
Yeah.
Hold on.
This
Oh,
is
Neil.
so fun for the listeners. It is 10.
Don't get into technicalities now. Okay, so Master
Yeah,
Mertet.
10.
That's the one. That's definitely 10 words. All right,
Dan
nailed
knows
it. I'm going to
words
give
in
the win
Swedish.
to Mike this week. Sorry, Neil.
That's
But,
nonsense. This was weird and crap. It was almost as bad as last week's where he just went Häcken Hellström, and that was also shit. And what's he done this week is worse. It's probably worse than last week, and he's won.
So not that Neil's bitter, but that means Mike takes a 2-1 lead in the 10 word or less review.
I mean,
I just feel like
I kind of agree with Neil. Mine doesn't really make much sense.
I feel like I put in effort and Mike got drunk and wrote something down. I feel like that's what's happened.
The judge has spoken. Right.
Anyway.
So, highlights from this match. Neil, I was texting you in the beginning of this game because I couldn't get the stream working. And no, I was FaceTiming you, and your face was just an absolute picture because you were just going, "Ooh, oh my God, what's going on?" You seem to quite enjoying the first 15, 20 minutes.
Well, I think the whole game was quite violent, but the first 20, I don't know. I think there could easily have been like 2 sending offs within that first 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah,
and then on minute 48, just as half time's about to go, old Kissateline goes full on studs up on someone and doesn't get a red card. Like, it was a crazy
right in
match.
front of the ref as well. But actually, with the first 10 minutes and all the fouls, there were actually 7 fouls in the first 10 minutes and 2 yellow cards.
That's impressive.
A big rivalry between these two sides, and there are hardly any players that transfer between them. I think that actually the guy who got the assist for Malmo's goal, he actually played for Göteborg. But it's been a long thing that players don't really move between these clubs. It's like Arsenal, United, and when they do, it's a problem.
Okay.
It's Soren Riggs, the Danish guy. He was absolutely loving it as well because especially because obviously he's left them to go to a better team. Let's be honest, Malmo is a better team. He was giving it to the fans
think
the
it was-
entire game. Every time he did something good, you could see the camera would pan onto him, and he'd be looking up at the stands. And he had a good little celebration as well.
He absolutely
he was
volleyed someone's leg at one point, Andy. He really just ran up to him and just volleyed the back of his leg. It was like it wasn't even an attempt at anything other than kicking. Have you seen the Balotelli? What's the Roma legend's name? What's his name?
Totti.
Totti. When Totti just boots Balotelli.
Yeah.
Everyone's seen that video. If you haven't,
World
go and
class.
watch it. It's a delight. But that was effectively what he did. He just went up and volleyed the back of someone's leg, and the ref was just like, "Oh, it's a free kick," but nothing more. It was weird.
The ref definitely had the under on how many bookings in this match. Someone needs to check his betting patterns, because it's interesting, because in those kind of games where there's a lot of animosity and a bit of tension, you don't really want the ref to start whipping out the cards in the first minute. You kind of want it to let it go a little bit, because it could ruin the game. Like, could you imagine if Malmo or even Gothenburg, let's say Gothenburg, got a sending off in like the first 20 minutes, they would have been hammered.
See, the thing is,
but
it felt
was
like he
interesting.
tried to lay down like a precedent at the beginning of these fouls are bookings, and then after about the 30th minute, he stopped giving out yellow cards. It felt like he'd given up on that whole thing, because the fouls that he gave the yellows for at the beginning were happening throughout the match, and he wasn't treating them all the same. It felt like he was putting a warning down at the beginning of the match, like, okay, if you keep doing this, you're going to keep getting yellows, and then he just didn't see it through.
When I was watching the build-up to this game, I didn't realize how much history there is and how much hatred there is between the two teams. Did you guys see the one of the games? I think it was last year. Wow, I should have probably written this down. But the game got like suspended because of these Canal Scott, which I'm going to talk about a little bit later in the Hammarby AIK game. But and then it was all kicking off, and the game I think got abandoned at one point. It was pretty mad. So there's a lot of hatred and rivalry between these two teams. But can anyone tell me why the fuck they had the manager from Gothenburg, who'd just been sacked like just before the season starts, and they brought him on TV in the build up to the game, and the poor fella had to come on live TV and explain why he was sacked. That was like their first question. So why were you fired? I was like,
oh my god, I missed that completely.
Did you?
Oh my, yeah.
Oh, he handled it well.
Wow.
To be fair,
wow.
But yeah, they really put him on the spot. They love the commentators. They get like some sort of power trip. Discovery Plus are power tripping on how many awkward situations they can put their interviewees in during the episode. Because they did the same.
They did an awkward half-time interview with Norlén as well.
Oh, really?
It was weird. It was weird and awkward. They were just asking them questions like, "Oh, what can you do better in the next half?" and what, and why? Like, you've had chances. Why haven't you scored? It was just weird.
Again, they picked the player who was having the worst half.
I thought he was a frustrating.
Missed a few sitters.
Do you know what?
Quite a frustrating player.
He missed. Well, he had 4 chances, 3 attempts on goal. All of his shots are quite weak. Nothing. Either shot too early or he just wasn't right. And his XG was 0.51 for the whole game, and Gothenburg's overall XG was 0.57. So he had all of their chances, and a lot of them happened right at the beginning of the match. And if Gothenburg had got on to a good start and he had put one of those away, it would have been a different match maybe. But still, they haven't scored. No one else contributed like 0.6, 0.06 XG for the rest of the team. It's
my notes on Norlén was basically that he was a frustrating player. He got into good positions, but he wasn't big enough, he wasn't strong enough, and he wasn't fast enough.
100%.
So
it was a weird game to watch, because when he was through pretty much 1-on-1 in the first minute, and he just kind of passed it into the goalkeeper, it was like, oh wow, okay. But this game to me was, I thought it would be worse for Gothenburg than it actually ended up being. Like, with all the turmoil around them, I think they did all right. It's only 1-0 That's a pretty close game. The Malmo fans before the game had this banner up. Again, classic shithousery. They had the banner showing the historical table between the two teams. Because, this is the master of all master meetings. And in this banner, it was like Gothenburg had 50 more matches played, and they had 150 less points. So it was a proper big brother, little brother moment where Malmo was like, guys, let's easy on the comparison talk. And the managing director of Gothenburg, who seems like a bit of an absolute nutter if you listen to the old managers talk, a bit of a control freak, he apparently in his first press conference said, soon we're going to take over Malmo. Like, dude, these guys just won like 7 league titles in a row, and you're saying that very soon Gothenburg are going to take them over. And Malmo have by far the biggest bank balance in Allsvenskan. It would take a monumental turnaround.
Their squad is like 10 times better all over the pitch. And their bench was really impressive, actually, against Göteborg. Nasi didn't even get on the pitch. And in the first game,
every time he plays, he looks so good.
But then they brought on Taha Ali, who was...
Oh, yeah.
He's such a super sub kind of player.
So, he used to play for the Swedish national futsal team.
Yeah. And you can see it.
And you can see that in the way he plays. Like, he's 100%. Playing futsal on the big pitch.
Yeah. But bringing him on to run at Thai defenders at the later stages of the game is that's going to get them some goals this season. He definitely needs to learn when to pass, though. There were a few, I think it could have even been about 3 chances in the second half where if he'd have played the right pass, they'd have been in. And he decided to take another man on or take a shot or go around, and it didn't work out. But I mean, he could be sensational. He's so direct with the ball and just makes things happen.
Definitely a lot of futsal in him, that's for sure. And I think his
anyone
1v1 play is amazing.
Can anyone name the former England futsal international that plays in the Premier League at the moment?
Oh, God, Neil with the surprise quiz again. What's going on?
Yeah.
I feel like I've heard this before, and this is going to get to me.
It's a bit of a surprising one.
Is it Harry Maguire?
Do you know what? You're probably about as close as you can get in a weird way.
Is it John Stones?
No.
Go on, put us out. Oh, I know it is Max Kilman.
It is. It's Max Kilman at Wolverhampton.
Yes. I remember now. Yeah, I remember that story. Yeah. Which, I see what you mean with the Harry Maguire comparison. Yeah, you wouldn't expect him to be a futsal kind of player, but he's decent. No. But my favourite player, the player that stood out for me, I know you got a different one, Neil, but is Busanello, the Malmo left back. He really impressed me. And if there's anyone built for these type of high intensity derby games, then it's someone who grew up in Brazil and then decided it wasn't dangerous enough. So he went on loan to Ukraine, knowing that there's a full-blown war going on. So needless to say, this guy is not intimidated by a bunch of Gothenburg fans raving some flares. He was he looked in his element, and I thought he had a really, really tidy game. But
he also played for Chapecoense. I don't know how to pronounce that team.
The team that had the plane crash, right?
Yeah. He joined them straight afterwards to join that team. So this
guy seems to love he seems to thrive in high pressure situations, and I think he was really, really good. He was super classy.
He was really good.
Yeah,
super powerful as well. Yeah, class and power.
Who was your man, Neil?
I was going to make one quick point first, is that you're talking about the left back there, but they did another interview at half time with the right back, Tinnerholm. And it just really came across how much the Malmo players are enjoying playing for that manager.
The Twitter manager.
Yeah. Did you notice Tinnerholm actually was playing as an inverted right back?
And I was just about to say, it seems like he hasn't just learnt from Twitter; he's learnt from Arteta and Pep.
Yes,
getting those right or left backs to come in to play in the middle.
I love the fact that you took Pep Guardiola's tactic and accredited it to Arteta. Thanks, Neil. I appreciate that.
Some say
I
it's
don't
actually
know
Arteta's
who-
tactic, and he brought it
yeah,
to
I
Man
would-
City.
I would
Some
guess
say.
that it's
okay.
Arteta's tactic.
Mm.
Yeah.
Oh, spicy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it was good. But he seems like a character. There was I saw like a thing on Instagram where they had a bench cam on him the entire game, and he seems like an absolute nutter, but in a good way. He's funny as hell, and he was arguing with the linesman and just like, give me a reason. Why was that?
I saw
not
him
a red
joking
card?
with the ref and everything as well. He was
Yeah.
he's
No,
definitely a character.
I think he's the type of character that seems to thrive with a team like Malmo, who have a lot of expectations. So what if he gets his tactics from Twitter? He seems to be doing a great job. And Malmo going to win the league, according to me. So yeah.
But my man of the match was actually Christiansen.
Yes. Yeah. He was good.
Just a lot of creativity in him. He actually, I think he was a little bit too confident. That's probably the wrong word, but he was a bit nonchalant towards the end of the game. There was a few chances he went through, and I thought, if you just played it a bit simpler, or it would have been better. But I like his creativity. It was fun to watch. He was a fun player to watch.
Yeah, no, definitely, he definitely makes them tick, and also it's very satisfying seeing someone wearing the number 10 playing in a number 10 role. I mean, very old school there, but a winger with a 5 on his back. Oh, well, I don't know why I get frustrated by these things, but they just do. So yeah, the 10 and the 9.
Yeah, I would also like to point out in this game that Bangsbo, whatever his name is, the Gothenburg centre back, had an absolute mare.
Oh,
for me, he was the worst player on the pitch.
Was he?
Yeah, I thought the centre backs were terrible.
Yeah, Hausner was kind of the other guy. He was covering for him quite a lot, and Bangsbo
But he got absolutely done for that goal.
Oh,
he
totally.
got absolutely ripped apart
and
for the goal.
last week as well. I mean, the thing is that people
Yeah,
say
have
that
you
he's
seen
got a
the
lot
goal
of
from last week?
Yeah, that was Bangsbo again.
Yeah, I know. And the commentator, or one of the guys from the expert commentators, I think from Discovery Plus, basically said that it was like 2-year-olds defending or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, he was wearing the expression like the whole match. He was wandering around the pitch wearing the expression of like a teenager whose parents have taken the dog to the vet, and he doesn't know if it's going to be good news, and he's fearing the worst. If you see him on that pitch, he's walking around like his eyes are up. He's just moping about.
Because he was quite highly touted at one point. They were saying that he was going to be one of the next big exports, for Swedish centre backs. But
he's had a shocker
he's
so
lost
far
his
this season.
confidence.
Yeah,
lost his confidence. Anything else you want to add about this game before we move on?
Maybe just that Gothenburg were playing a 37-year-old Oscar Wendt and a 36-year-old Marcus Berry. And that didn't work out well for them, did it? And Malmo had their golden oldies on the bench.
Yeah, it's interesting because Allsvenskan, every time I look at a player's like statistics, I'm like, get shocked by how young everybody is. The amount of 17-year-olds that are starting or being subbed in is actually crazy. And then you got people who are 20 years older, obviously in the twilight at the end of their careers. Sure, you can talk about leadership abilities and all that kind of stuff, but I mean, maybe the time's come.
Yeah, I don't know. I think maybe the league is progressing to an extent that you can't have these players in there anymore. So what I've been thinking with like players like Jimmy Durmaz and John Guidetti, maybe the league is actually getting too good for them. Whereas 5 years ago, they could have been able to get into these teams.
Yeah, interesting.
I don't know. Maybe the
because Seb Larsson played well for AIK for a good couple of years.
Yeah,
but yeah,
people like Amanda came back, and a lot of players
That's
come back to finish their career here.
I'm just waiting for the 48-year-old Zlatan to come and line up for Hammarby and start smashing them in. Yeah, but we'll see, maybe. And then final question, Mike: are Gothenburg still going down?
They are going down. They have in the next 2 matches. They've got Djurgården and Norrköping, which they will lose, and then they have now lost 5 games out of 5. Not looking good, is it? And other teams like that you wouldn't really expect to be picking up a lot of points, like Halmstad, got points against AIK. They got points against Gordon now. Gothenburg have nothing. So I don't know.
Interesting. Watch this space. That could be drama at the highest level. So let's wrap up our roundup then of Malmö 1, Gothenburg 0 with the comment of it was a bit tasty. The atmosphere was absolutely fantastic. I don't think we even touched on that, but the atmosphere was brilliant. Again, like the noise. And so, okay, Discovery Plus, you can only stream one live match at a time. And yeah, not that we share an account or anything, but
we'll never do that.
I had the pleasure of watching. Well, you guys are watching Malmö Gothenburg with 20,000-30,000 people there, and amazing. I was watching Varberg against Sirius, and the juxtaposition of those two teams was absolutely mind blowing. I mean, we'll talk a little bit more about that match later on, but some like the highs and the lows, it's like American wealth system. You've got the mega rich and the mega poor, and in Allsvenskan you've got the most incredible atmospheres I've seen, and absolutely no shows. But anyway, speaking about good atmospheres, let's kick off the rest of the review fixtures with Hammarby against AIK. And it's not because I'm a Hammarby fan, Neil, although maybe I am, who knows. But Hammarby AIK, what a game. It was one that I definitely had an extra eye on. Two of Allsvenskan's like most original teams had been in the league since formation. And one of the things that during the build-up was, I don't know if you guys saw this, but the AIK fans, before the final training session, for the match, they made a load of banners and put it up all around the ground where they were training before the match, and it read like, "Now it's for real," and "Strong characters are created during tough times," and "Be the standard bearer the club needs," and the best one, "Time for heroes." And they had these banners all around the training pitch, and after such a miserable start, that's pretty classy. I mean, the banners could have said any number of things, but they were fairly positive messages. And yeah, I think that's quite classy from the AIK fans, to be fair. Really showing that they're getting behind the team, but also giving them a little bit of a kick up the arse.
Yeah.
But it was pretty impressive. And then massive respect for AIK's manager and how he's handled the situation. Like he's been on the Discovery Plus, we're going to put you in awkward situation interview train, and he's handled it really well, and he seems like a good leader. But I mean 41,000 to 41,142 in attendance. I mean that's like
incredible.
Premier League level attendance.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, how many teams in the Premier League do you reckon could, like, basically fill out the national stadium? So, like, Wembley.
Yeah. No, it's not many.
Probably about seven or eight. Tottenham have filled out Wembley before, just to give Neil a little bit of credit here.
But that's not at full capacity, is it? They cut off half of the top of the stadium.
Yeah, and they cut off sections to keep the Hammarby fans apart. Yeah,
but yeah, I don't know. It was a great match though, in terms of the atmosphere and everything else around it.
Yeah,
there was.
Did you see my favorite moment from this whole game was actually before the match even started? So they have the mascots, and AIK fans had mascots with Hammarby little kids dressed in Hammarby kits, and Hammarby had mascots with kids dressed in AIK kits. And then there was a moment when they were panning across, and this little girl who was standing with AIK's captain Milosevic, and she was standing there in a Hammarby kit, and she just put her hands up in like a high five position, and she'd written AIK on her hands.
Oh, wow.
She was obviously absolutely devastated to be in a Hammarby kit, and I saw that and thought that is exceptional.
That's hilarious.
You imagine putting your kid into this and you're like, oh, okay, you get to be a mascot for the game today. Awesome. This is going to be great. And then you see her strolling out onto the pitch. She's there in a bloody Hammarby kit or whatever team you don't support. And you're like, what is this? Like, if someone put my kid in an Arsenal kit, I'd go there and I'd strangle the fucker. But
would you storm the pitch?
I'd be pissed, right?
Yeah.
But at least you'd have that proud dad moment where she like puts up her hand and chucks out like an Ike or like for the win. Sort of
I mean,
thing. At least you'd have that.
There's
but
definitely.
I'd be angry.
Yeah, I know. I wouldn't be best pleased, but as you say, there's some parents at home watching that, going, "Oh my god, that's my girl." But massive respect to her. She didn't give a fuck, and she just stood there, and she was confident. She sorted out the camera and was standing there like, I thought it was amazing. But she must have been like 9 or 10 years old, and that's confidence. Fair play to her. And yeah, I think that was definitely my favorite moment of the game, because I was not expecting it.
Yeah, for sure.
I tell you, one thing I was looking forward to in this game was I was very curious to see Dovin's first touch after his absolute howler last week, aka the penalty spot incident. And his first touch of the ball was an absolutely world-class save. It was one of the
it was about 1 minute
Ramsdale-esque.
Save of the season so far. It was brilliant.
Neil's shaking his head. It was Aaron Ramsdale-esque. It was absolutely brilliant. Point blank, tipped onto the crossbar, world-class reactions. And I thought he was really good. Again, for me, he's one of the better, one of the top 3-4 goalkeepers in Allsvenskan. He was fantastic. Yeah. So what a recovery and great.
I don't think we can overstate the fact that he is actually, despite that mistake, he is a good goalkeeper. There is no getting around it.
Yeah, because just like the level of fans in Allsvenskan, the level of goalkeepers, there's a massive disparity between the top half and the bottom half.
Yeah, that's true.
But AAK were like super intense from the start, and then obviously the manager has done a bit of changes after the amount of pressure they've been under, and he put this Finnish kid who used to be a centre back, Tihi, and positioned him in the space that they've been missing a player for the entire first 2 matches of the season, which should have been filled by Jimmy Durmaz apparently. But so this Tihi guy sat in the defensive holding midfield role. Just like, do you remember when England were really crap? And everyone was saying, we don't have a defensive midfielder. And suddenly Owen Hargreaves of Bayern Munich started becoming England's best player because he filled that role and actually just did a job positionally. I mean, this is what that Tihi did, and it was it was really good. It changed the entire structure, the way AAK played. But I have a theory that the commentators, especially some of them, are a little bit biased towards AIK. Now, they were pretty brutal in their review of them in the last game, but they're always they seem to be willing them to do well for some reason. And about 10 minutes in, they were discussing the formation, which was listed as a 3-5-2, and obviously maths was not their strong point because there was clearly only one striker, which according to the commentators made it a 3-5-6. So I'm not really sure how that works, but no wonder they won if they played 6 up front. I think they meant a 3-6-1 formation, which is kind of what it ended up being when they had the ball. But yeah, it was interesting to see the changes. But did you guys have any takeaways from this game before I ramble on for the entire podcast about it?
Well, I thought like this, as much as Eichel probably deserved the win, the goals were quite lucky. The first one.
Yeah.
The first one. Why did the defender just leave it when it came across
So I have
the
a theory
box?
about that.
Let's hear this, because it made no sense to me watching it.
No, so this is what I think's happened.
Okay.
Fesai, who scored the goal, he's quite young, right? He's down with the kids, let's say. So I reckon as the ball's coming...
As they say.
as they say, wow.
You couldn't have sounded less down with the kids than saying down with the kids.
I think
I
you
used to
just
be
got
cool, I
a whole year
swear.
older when you said that.
But
I think
anyway,
you got greyer and balder in the space of 1 minute there, Andy.
so the ball rolls across the box. It's only going to get worse as well. The ball rolls across the box, and I swear, Fasai must have been behind him going, "Oh shit, the ball is lava," and Sudoku's gone, "Oh shit, oh no, he's got me." Because you
Only
see him
plausible
literally.
explanation.
I mean, that's the only plausible explanation because you see him go to touch the ball, and if someone shouts the ball is lava, you're obviously going to move your foot away, and then
Yeah, you don't wanna
Fasai just
touch
tapped
that.
it in and just laughed his way all the way to the fans. So
Yeah,
that is my
or
theory.
maybe he's in his fantasy football team,
Potentially, maybe triple
which
captain.
we're all doing particularly badly at. So if anyone wants to join our league, they can join in and take the piss out of us.
Speak for yourself,
someone
mate. I
joined
had a
and
good
is
week.
now ahead of us. He joined like a week later, and now he's above
Yeah.
all of us.
That's
Not
depressing.
me. No, I'm holding strong. I
really?
captained Smooches McGee this week, so
There we go.
Yeah. Oh well,
But I mean,
and then the second Icor goal had a huge amount of luck in it.
So
it was awful.
Did you see the entire game? This was obviously again credit to AOK's manager and Fasai because this was obviously something that they've watched. Because from minute one, you saw Fasai pressing and cutting out the passing lane between the two Hammarby centre backs. They like to switch the ball between the two centre backs, and the entire game he was in that space. He nearly intercepted the two centre backs 4 times in the first 15 minutes. I was sitting there and I was saying to my mate, I was like, well, it's gonna happen. Like it's too obvious unless they change.
Yeah, he was really on it though for Sahi. He was really
It was some tidy footwork.
Yeah.
Oh,
and he's
beautiful.
He's the next Isak. He's gonna be the next big star out of AIK. You can't see anything else for this kid than just going up and up and up and up. Yeah.
This
is his first Stockholm derby as well. First Stockholm derby, 2 goals. Yeah.
Yes.
I mean,
So
act like you've been there. That's what he did.
Yeah. I had a friend whose theory on why Hammarby lost was because they were it's just a bunch of young kids playing. But I think what that goes to show is that you can be a young kid and play in these derbies and perform.
Yeah. It was weird though. They changed out the entire front three, who never played together ever. I mean, Hammarby. Let's be honest, Hammarby didn't show up. They sat so deep. They had no pressure on AOK's back line. If Arabi ever got the ball, he had Tihi on him directly because he had to be deep because the back line was so deep. It was just like it was frustrating to watch as a closet Hammarby fan. Now as a neutral because you wanted Hammarby to come into that derby and just take it by the balls. Actually, wait, yeah, maybe I shouldn't say that. Grab it by the throat and actually take it to AOK. But no, unfortunately they didn't. Did you see the moment where Dovin decided to fake an injury so they could have a team talk for about 20 minutes on the sidelines? And then the greatest part is the AOK goalkeeper, Nordfeldt. He stood like outside the huddle and just listened in the entire time. They were like chucking water at him. It's just so pathetic. It was like school ground, like playground rules. But yeah, good move. And then another moment that I enjoyed was number 14, Magashi, for AOK. He decided that he would try a bicycle kick from pretty much outside the box, but he forgot that he was not, in fact, Zlatan. So it didn't really go too well. But on the whole, AOK, they didn't look like the AOK that we'd seen in the first 2 games. And I think they are A-OK if they continue like this.
Yeah, it's still early in the season, so like any form at the moment is like we can take everything with a pinch of salt, really.
Sure. No, it's hard to judge. But I mean, Hammarby's first half stats: 0.0 xG, 0 shots on goal, 0 shots in total, and only 1 time in the opposition box. That unfortunately is not going to win you a game. So yeah, but the last thing I'll say about this game, because I know we're spending a lot of time on this, is, did you guys see the something I'd never really heard before? Knallskott, which is like, I think it translates to bangers, but they're usually used by the military. And they've had this issue apparently in Allsvenskan about these things. So they've got pretty strict rules. If someone sets one off, the first thing they do, I didn't know what was going on because I think someone was talking to me and I was a bit distracted. And then I look and I see the referee standing with his hands in the air, and I hear a bang, and it just looked like a Western style stick up. It was like someone came onto the pitch and was like, "Give me your money," but he was apparently pointing up to the big screen at the top, which had a message about, please don't use these knallskott things. And then it happened again, of course, because Hammarby fans were probably not in the greatest moods. And then he marched everyone off the pitch. And you could see the ref was fuming because you saw him on the sidelines saying, one more fucking time. You picked him up on the hot mic. And then, of course, it happened again. So he marched everyone off again. It was quite frustrating. And Kurtulus, he ran over to the fans and was like begging them to stop. But it must be infuriating for a player when you're losing, and every time you start to get a bit of pressure on, you have to get off the pitch because someone's set off a banger in the stands. But it was a pretty eventful game.
Yep.
Right.
As was the Häcken Kalmar game.
I didn't watch that.
Now, I would have put good money on our friends Ball Club the Bush winning.
Love Ball Club the Bush.
It's such a bizarre name. I guess it's the name of a place, but why would you call a place the Bush? Anyway, that's enough of that. So 3-1. They've lost 3-1 to Kalmar.
Huge upset.
It is quite a big one. The first goal, when I first watched it for Kalmar, I thought, they're wearing a bit of an Arsenal-like kit. He's taking it on the turn. He's swiveled. He's put it in the back of the net in a lovely tight area. It had a bit of Thierry Henry about it. And then I looked at it again. I had a look at it.
Don't use the Lord's name in vain, Neil.
Yeah. I had a look at it again, and it was more like watching Davison Sanchez, because he didn't have a fucking clue what was going on, and he's just landed at his feet and he's pummeled it in the back of the net. But it's amazing how like first glances can really throw you off. And that's why I think you should have a little bit of sympathy for referees sometimes, especially the ones without VAR. Although the referee for the Göteborg Malmö match was fucking diabolical. I just got to take us back there.
Agreed.
Anyway. So that's Kalmar 1-0 up anyway. It was Simon Skrab, Mike's favourite player.
Great name. Strong name.
Strong name. Second goal was just a scrappy sort of goal. Bad sort of play at the back for Häcken, losing the ball on the edge of the box. I just let one in just through being a bit crap in that situation. And then there was a penalty situation. It was an absolute massive dive by Larson for a penalty. But then the commentator was like,
not Lars' son.
Yeah, Lars' son,
Yeah, but the commentator was just like, yep, that's absolutely clear as day. But it was a full-on dive.
Yeah. Did you notice the Kalmar fans on that penalty were like playing a police siren to put off the penalty taker? It was incredible
worked.
shithousing. Yeah,
it worked because the penalty taker, he's gone down the middle, which is normally like a fairly cast iron penalty because goalkeepers will move. Not the best goalkeeper in this league, no. Old Ricardo Freudrich stands still and the penalty goes straight into his arms.
Yeah.
Although he did disappoint me a little bit later and give away a penalty.
Well,
he took someone out at their feet, Traore took it this time round and scored. He's actually joint top goal scorer at the moment with old Kiese Thelin. So that'll be an interesting battle between the two of them. So the game's back on. It's 2-1 at this point, and then Rajovic does a low drive from outside the box with about 20 minutes to go. Rajovic is the player that he was moaning a couple of weeks ago, wasn't he, that he wasn't getting the passes. And this time, he scored this week, so we've got to give him some credit. But like I said, the 3-1 result, it's not really a true story. I mean, 19 shots to Häcken and 7 to Kalmar. So it's a bit harsh to lose, really. But spring is here. Häcken will bounce back. The leaves will bloom on that little bush of theirs, won't it? So it'll be fine. They will get there.
Yeah.
One thing about that match is I saw there was Gustafsson versus Gustafsson in centre midfield.
Oh, the battle of the Gustafssons.
The battle of the
came out on top.
Probably Gustafsson, I would assume.
Well, I saw that the Kalmar Gustafsson got an assist and got an 8.9 rating, whereas the Häcken Gustafsson, who's nominated for like the FIFA Ultimate Team Community Player of the Year award or something like that. Anyway,
but
he got 7.1
really good in the last
rating.
couple of matches.
He's brilliant, but it's I think the younger Gustafsson won the battle of the Gustafssons.
And there's another Gustafsson in Häcken who's actually he's that Gustafsson's brother. It's like I think it's like maybe Samuel and Simon Gustafsson, and they could be even twins. I think they are.
But that's enough. It's not often I say this, but that's enough bush for one evening. So, Mike, you had a watch of Halmstad Gordon. How did that go?
Halmstad Gordon. Halmstad won 2-0. They beat AIK there a couple of weeks ago, as I think I mentioned earlier. Really promising home form. They're one of only like a couple of teams that have a grass pitch in Allsvenskan, and the commentators wouldn't stop going on about it. The whole first half, it's the grass pitch. Oh, he's passed it over there, but it's the grass pitch. What are they talking about? It's just another football pitch. It shouldn't be that big of a deal. And a grass pitch at that. It's fine. But
the commentators for the Varberg Sirius game did the same thing. They were like, it's a grass pitch. Oh. To be fair, the first time I ever played on a non-grass pitch, in England, you grow up playing on grass pitches. Not the best quality of grass pitches. The ball doesn't really bounce. First time I played,
ankle breakers on those pitches.
Massive ankle breakers.
There's nice little holes that you can.
It's brilliant. It's so you can get a spin on the ball if you drive it low. But I was playing for like Division 6 or 7 team when I first came to Sweden as a goalkeeper. And someone just lumped it up the field, and I've come to collect the ball, and it's bounced 40 meters up in the air over my head and into the goal. And I nearly packed my bags and moved back to England after that. It was absolutely humiliating. But anyway,
the amount of times I've misjudged the ball on a AstroTurf, it's been uncountable. But anyway,
I think we just proved our theory wrong, that it actually does matter the surface of the pitch.
But the opposite, maybe. Maybe they should be thankful it's a grass pitch. So Edvardsson, my tip for MVP, was on the bench, and they didn't bring him on. Joel Asoro played instead, and he was awful. Well, not awful, but he dived about 3 or 4 times, really, and he was like,
Joel.
He wasn't. It looked like he wasn't really like into it. He was always complaining.
I think he's still mentally
beginning.
in Sunderland.
Yeah, I still maybe he thinks he's too big time for this. I don't get it. He wasn't really. Ooh. He did a couple of good dribbles, but he wasn't involved.
That's disappointing.
But the most interesting thing about this match, apart from obviously the bongos which you mentioned at the beginning, was Andreas Johansson, the Halmstad centre back, is 41.
Oh yes,
41, and his centre back partnership is 22. So that's a 19-year difference. That's a whole Jude Bellingham between the centre back partnership.
He literally could be his dad.
Yeah, he literally. Yeah, yeah.
If he grew up in the countryside in Sweden,
could be his granddad.
He would almost be considered old to have had that kid.
But Johansson, he looks like every centre back knocking around Division 7, 6, or Korpen in Sweden.
I played alongside him, I swear, a few times, and he's just been a nice steady hand giving me the instructions that I need. It's
guiding.
Drop back. Okay, great, thanks. Yeah. Good mate.
Yes, Dad.
Yeah. But yeah, Picanel was also 19, so he's also the same age difference between those defenders. He was in goal for Gordon. He misjudged the first goal, misjudged a cross, the ball went in. He didn't really have a great game. The second goal, who was it? It was Eric Alstrand, cut inside on his left foot, curled the ball into not really the far corner, just kind of the far middle. I don't know if that's
he got a good goal last week as well.
Yeah, no.
I think.
Yeah, he's looks a good player.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, Helmstad, as I said against AIK, they saw the game out. Time management was excellent. They didn't look under pressure for the end of the game, and they're a real force at home. So maybe they're not going down. Promoted last year, second Super Etan. Yeah.
Oh, interesting. No, I think that's one of the games I wish I'd got to watch because I was interested to see. I mean, what are Djurgården? Are they a good team? What is Animal Park a good team or not? I don't think we know.
They have looked like a good team this season, but in this instance against Halmstad, yeah.
Interesting. Tell you a team that has looked like a good team, and that's Norrköping. Neil, you had the pleasure of watching Norrköping against Värnamo. How did that go?
Yeah, 2-1 win for Norrköping. A couple of goals from Sigurdsson. But I think he can thank. First of all, we can thank the Värnamo goalkeeper Wojtek.
Sorry, what was his name?
Wojtekovic. I
Oh,
practiced.
Well, actually, that was pretty good pronunciation for you, Neil.
Yeah, it was probably terrible if you asked him, but in terms of my standard, it was bloody brilliant. But he's had a nightmare for the first one, and then Sigurdsson's just he's come out quite far, and I think we talked about this with maybe they listened to the podcast because we talked about this when Ricardo Friedrich came out and he headed the ball to one of his players and he was quite far out, and I thought it was really composed. Well, Vojtovic has heard this on the podcast. He's gone, right, I'm going to give that a go. Absolutely messed it up. Like, just dreadful. Have you guys seen it?
Yeah, I've seen it. He just cushioned the header to
the ball. Like, it's the slowest roll of a ball into a net I've ever seen.
Yeah. But he's cushioned it down to Sigurdsson about 30 yards out, and he's just rolled it in. It was quite composed, to be fair. A lot of players would be smashing that.
Right.
He's just rolled it in. Then there was a bizarre own goal for that Värnamo scored. They took a long throw in, and one of the Norrköping players just nutted it into his own goal. And then the second goal for Norrköping was just it was Sigurdsson again. He's taken a shot from outside the box, but it's taken one of those weird loopy deflections into the top right hand corner. It's also another one of those ones at first glance you go, oh, that's an amazing strike, and then you look at it again and you see just how much help he's had from the deflection. Värnamo actually put a bit of late pressure on. The goalkeeper made a few good saves, but it stayed at 2-1 to Norrköping.
Värnamo are a team, so I don't know anything about them at all. Even though we've been doing this podcast for a few weeks, I don't understand.
You're watching them next week, then. You're watching them.
They're 100% my pick for next week. No, I'm joking. Mike, you had the pleasure of watching the Elves, aka Elfsborg, play against the Bromma boys.
Yes, the Elves absolutely destroyed the boys. 5-0. There was a goal 2 minutes in. Elfsborg hadn't even scored the last couple of games. Poor goalkeeping again. I don't want to keep going on about this Bromma keeper, but it's going to be a running theme.
I don't know how he still has a job.
I don't understand. And I don't understand what Olaf Melberry's doing there. So it was 2-0. They goes to half time. Okay, what are you going to say to your Bromma players? Obviously, you're not going to say concede 2 more goals straight after half time before the 50-minute mark. Which is probably what it seemed like. That's what he told them to do because they were absolutely dreadful. Ondrejka, the left winger for Elfsborg, was really good player. His second, the goal for the, I think it was the third goal, the assist for the third goal. He does like a little flicked back heel across the box, and Bernhardsson scores.
Because Bernhardsson, he took all the headlines, didn't he?
I mean, the first goal he scored, it was just too easy. His hat-trick goal, they passed the ball to him at a free kick, and he just wandered through the middle of the pitch, not without any intent, and then just had a shot, took a little deflection, and went in. It was just so easy. Bromma were absolutely awful.
It's not looking good. not looking good for
Weird
Bromma.
team, Bromma, because they looked good last week. I know they lost,
Yeah.
but they looked good. But the first week they looked dreadful. This week they looked dreadful, and last week they looked promising. So
Yeah,
Yeah,
I know.
they
I've
were
gone on.
solid against Malmo.
I've gone on about them quite a lot because I've watched all their games so far this season.
Lucky boy.
Yeah, but I've got another observation about them that I've been having a little bit of trouble defining because there's a massive sort of national service vibe to them. Like they've all just got a letter in the post. Like they have to, oh, I've been called up today to play for Bromma. They're very like World War One army reserves. Just the whole team. And you just know they're gonna
They don't
they're
want to
not gonna
be
make
there.
it. They're
not going to make it.
They're not going to make it.
They're the innocent boy that got called into the tank at the last minute.
Yeah, Gustav Sandberg Magnusson buried in the grave of the unnamed soldier.
Your imagination has run wild with you a little bit here, Mike.
Yeah, but that's the kind of vibe they have. It's a weird team.
Yeah, it's a strange team.
There you go.
Mjällby Degerfors, Mike.
Cannon fodder, exactly. Mjällby Degerfors, the mighty Mjällby are at it again. Honestly,
I mean, it's all
Degerfors,
smiles in Dandruff Village, isn't it?
Oh, it is. I thought Degerfors would give them a test because they seemed quite decent in their first couple of games. But no,
did Luis Suarez play?
He did, and he didn't bite anybody, so that's progress, I guess.
Well done, Louis.
Yeah, the stat of this game is that there were 24 fouls and only one yellow card. Yeah, and do you want to guess who that was from?
Who got the yellow card? Yes. It must be the little Belgian guy who ran around and kicked
Pavlovic
the entire game.
Yes, yeah, he's the only one to get a yellow card. Of course, it was him. Yeah, it was quite an even game. Noah Eli, that's on loan to Mjällby from Malmo, who's played as right back, a centre midfielder, and a centre back so far this season. He's playing right back against Degerfors. He cuts in onto his left foot and plays a beautiful ball over, and then it's headed in by Stahl, I think it was. Second goal penalty. But yeah, Mjällby looked good again, and they're third. So my prediction is looking all right. Maybe.
Oh, saucy. Well, I had the absolute pleasure of watching Varberg's boys against Are You Serious? And oh my God. Okay, I have a friend who's a Sirius fan. Hi, Daniel. And he says, don't you dare talk bad about Sirius. But this game, they were part of it. And even though it was the Battle of South Africa, aka Turkish Matthews against Luke Leroux, it was it's a roller coaster watching Allsvenskan, because 1 minute you're watching 42,000 people in a Stockholm derby with class tifos, amazing atmosphere, noise, and then the next minute you're watching Varberg's boys against Sirius with 1,000 people and one or two blokes trying to get a chant going in the middle of a field somewhere in Gothenburg. And like when the match started, I thought the stadium was totally empty because where the camera's pointing, the main stand was totally empty. So I literally thought there were nobody there. But apparently,
I saw the highlights and I was really shocked. Yeah.
So apparently that stand is not finished yet. It might be ready next week. I mean, how much of a farmers league can you possibly get where 3 games into the season, your main stand might be ready next week? I mean, could you imagine that happening in the Premier League? Sorry,
Fulham.
Actually, the Alex Ferguson end or whatever it's called in Old Trafford is it's not ready, so we just have it empty. But it was the funny thing about watching this game is that you could hear everything. So you could hear all the comments in the crowds. Like when they announced the lineups, and while the players were on the pitch, you could hear like they wouldn't say a name, and then you'd hear a "way," and you'd hear like a polite round of applause. It sounded like the kind of clapping you get at like a children's nativity concert, where it's the kind of clapping that says, "I don't really want to be here, but I'm from here, so I kind of have to be there." And it was just very polite Swedish clapping every time they read a player's name out, and it was just bizarre. And then, of course, Discovery Plus decided to do their pre-match interviews. They interviewed the series manager, aka Fat Klopp, right?
Fat Klopp.
Yeah, Fat Klopp. What a legend.
Yeah.
Oh wait, no, was he the Varberg's boys manager?
No, yeah, Joachim Persson, Varberg's boys manager,
Okay,
Fat Klopp.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So they interviewed both of them before the games, but the serious manager, and they said, what do you want to see in the game? Pretty standard question. And his reply was lots of energy. Then we need to get a feel for the grass. Again, like obsessing about the grass. And yeah, because we haven't played much on the grass, so we need to play a lot longer, and we need to get them to run the wrong way. That was his tactics. So not really sure. I mean, I suppose after that interview, I should have known what to expect from this game. But the stadium apparently is famous for being really windy.
So it's like the Britannia, the Stoke.
I was just
arena.
about to say it's the Swedish equivalent of a cold, rainy day in Stoke, which is a sunny, windy day in Varberg potentially. So I'm not sure. But this game was only played with a light breeze and about 20 series fans who made the trip up. But it was my God, I lost the will to live at multiple points of this game.
I've got a plan on how they can increase their attendance.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. It's going to sound a little bit left field.
Go on.
I think they should put a bouncy castle at one end. and surround it by police cars.
Yeah, I mean that seems that seems to work so well for Bromma.
Bromma would love that because I feel like they missed that at Elfsborg. They couldn't have a little bounce at half time, so they came out.
Exactly.
Maybe that's why they were shit. Because
probably.
I think Bromma just need to bring the bouncy castle with them.
Yeah, their preparations.
I think we're going to start another crowdfunding for Bromma's traveling bouncy castle for their warm-ups.
Yeah,
but anyway, back to the boys against Are You Serious? It was just, I mean, Varberg scored in the 7th minute, and it was sort of classic indecisive Allsvenskan defending. And then someone bundling the ball back into the net, and then they received another, polite round of applause from the fans, like, "Oh, yeah, jolly good, yes, 1 goal, thank you." And then directly after that, Sirius had a 1-on-1. After they looked like prime Barcelona in one passage of play, and they put this guy through on goal.
They do have those moments, though.
They do,
Just to go back, Ike Soros, they have these moments of really intricate attacking play, and I noticed this in the first game of the season. And they have it in them. And I think this is when you talk about they played in Tashreeq Matthews on the 1v1.
No, it wasn't him. It was the striker. But it was like prime Barcelona tick-attacker. And I was like, oh, okay, this game might get a bit spicy. And then it was just crap for the rest of the game. Series number 8, Stenson, he got booked in the 10th minute. And apparently he misses the next game. Because I don't know if you guys knew this. I didn't know this. But apparently it's only 3 yellow cards before you get a 1-match ban in Sweden. So yeah, 3 yellow cards. He's got 3 games, 3 yellow cards, so he's got a 100% record. Fair play to the lad. But you couldn't find a person that looks less like they were trying to get yellow cards. I mean, he looks like a regular at Stureplan. He doesn't look like someone who's going to be crunching into tackles. But yeah, he was booked fairly early on. Then he missed a sitter as well. So yeah, he was the man of the match, and he got a yellow card and missed a sitter from 2 yards out, and that pretty much tells you the level of quality in this match. It was pass, give the ball away, other team recovers, they pass, give the ball away, other team recovers. I swear to God, I've just come from my daughter's training. I train my daughter's football team. She's 8 years old. There were moments in that match of similar quality to an 8-year-old's football training session. It was like swarm of bees around the ball. I think I sent you guys a picture in the group chat, which pretty much sums up the game, where there's like
everyone following the ball in the penalty area.
Literally, there's about 12 people in one small space on the pitch, and one fella out wide going, "Hi, I'm open," and the ball's just in the bundle. But yeah, it was quite demoralizing. Not even Brazilian Rory Delap could entertain me with his long throw-ins. But yeah, it was. There's not much else. It was 1-1. Sirius scored, and then they tried to score a winner, and they didn't. And that's pretty much what happened. And hopefully next time I hear the Varberg's boys manager, aka Fat Klopp, hopefully next time he does an interview, we can get some fucking subtitles because I didn't understand a word he said. And I've been living here long enough to understand Swedish. Couldn't understand. So please, Fat Klopp, subtitles next time, please.
Mm-hmm.
And that
I really want to hear Neil's second highlight of the week. I'm bursting to hear this.
You're bursting
Neil.
to hear this.
I've been wanting to hear this since the beginning, since we started. I'm so intrigued. What is it?
I've chosen a team, guys. I've decided.
What?
I've gone early on it.
This is early.
This is 3 games in, mate. This is
3 games in, and Neil's fallen so much in love with Allsvenskan, he's decided on a team.
It must be serious. It must be not EK serious, but it must be serious.
Who is it, Neil?
Are you guys going to guess first, like a serious guess? Not serious.
Well, my guess is you're going to try and steal Hammarby from me.
Okay, and Mike?
I'm guessing you're going to go for Malmo because you want a team that's actually good.
Mike is...
Sorry.
He wants to win a trophy so bad, he's going to pick the dominant team in Swedish football. Just
like all those Man United fans where we grew up in the south. There was all these Man United fans at schools. Like, what? Why are you a Man United fan?
Mike, you're 30. You're prime glory Arsenal fan.
See, I inherited it, so I can't change it.
All right. Yeah. Neil. But what is your team?
So Mike's hypothesis was correct.
Yes.
Yeah, I've decided I'm going to go for Malmö, but I've got reasons.
Let's hear them.
All right, so they might actually win something. Was quite high up on the list.
Thought so.
It was quite high.
Sorry, I don't know whether that's genius or tragic.
Well, do you know what I've done? I've made the rest of Sweden happy because I've just jinxed Malmö completely.
Oh
yeah. But anyway, I've decided that there's a few sort of links to my sort of life in there. So I'm going to start by their kit colours. Now, growing up, I played a lot of basketball, so this is quite niche. But their kit colours are North Carolina colours, which is where Michael Jordan played his basketball. So I'm loving that North Carolina blue and white setup. So that was quite nice.
It's a solid reason.
Then you got a bit of a very brief Spurs link. You've got Daniel Gudjonsson playing there, and Ida was at Spurs for a very brief period.
Is Daniel Gudjonsson at Malmo the youngest of the?
Yeah.
Wow.
So. Unless I've got that wrong.
No, I think he must. I mean, he was with the other one in Real Madrid, but if he's moved to Malmo, then that's a
Daniel Gudjonsson. And then I also felt like some of my favourite players in Tottenham over the years are sort of highlighted. There's little bits of Malmo players there. So we got like Ali there. Yeah, he reminds me of Aaron Lennon.
Yeah.
There's a lot of speed, but there's no final product.
Yeah.
And then
you got Harry Kane up front.
We've got Kiese Thelin as my Harry Kane. That's right. And then we've got a Danish
total
playmaker.
lack of pace, but always seems to score.
Exactly my reasoning. Then we've got a Danish playmaker, and Christiansen plays quite a lot like my old pal Christian Eriksen before he went off to Man United.
Yeah, the guy who played for Spurs is a Spurs legend. Left Spurs, died, came back to life, and then won a trophy before Tottenham.
Yeah, you're still
Sorry,
away
Neil.
this month. Don't worry about it. But anyway. So, and one last thing. I grew up in Portsmouth, which is not particularly close to Tottenham's stadium. So I basically never went to a match. I now live in Gustavs Bay, which is nowhere near Malmö. So I'll never be able to go again either. So, yeah.
But actually, Malmö and Portsmouth, both southern cities.
Yeah.
That's
true.
You know,
that's
true. There's a bit of a link there.
Both windy and cold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's good.
Do you know what? Okay, wow, you're going early, and I'm actually happy with that. I think it's a good choice.
I think
I think
do you know what? I'm happy for you, mate.
I'm happy for you, Neil. You might actually win something, and maybe Neil will actually smile.
Yeah, like maybe they can melt his frozen heart.
Frozen heart.
Yeah. As much as I've nominated a team and I'm going to support them, the happiness way is just not going to feel the same as if Tottenham might ever win something. It'll just never be there.
We'll see.
Give it a couple of years.
Couple more game weeks, actually. I think he's going to be full on.
We'll see.
We'll see.
On that bombshell, Neil, that is absolutely sensational. That brings us to the last segment of the week, which is the game of the week picked next week. Neil, seeing as you were late to the party and picking your game, I'm going to let you go first. Who have you chosen?
Mate, this is going to be a classic. We've got to watch it. I've gone for Degerfors Elfsborg.
Oh.
Because I want to know what Doughy Rapids smashing it into an Alf's fort looks like. No, that's not the reason. It's just because my reasoning is this. You two have chosen better games. I've chosen teams I haven't seen much of. So
all right.
It would be all right.
Well, you can get them on the sub bracket match of the day 2. The little
like when everyone's turned off, gone to sleep after the one good game on the Sunday's already been on.
Yeah. Well, I've gone for a bit of a surprise. I've chosen Hammarby.
Hammarby. You haven't, though.
I have. Hammarby against the boys.
That's not even a good match.
No, but I have a reason for it.
So much. Okay, what is it? You're a Hammarby fan. That's the reason, right? Or
No, I'm not going to drop that bombshell. And bearing in mind, I just watched Varberg's boys, and they were utterly abysmal. But Hammarby were also utterly abysmal against AIK, and I want to see, first of all, who actually turns up, like the Hammarby from the cup game against AIK, or the Hammarby from the first derby in the league against AIK. And also, I'm quite intrigued because if Hammarby lose, it could be absolute madness, because you think AIK's fans were harsh against them when they lost the first 2 games. Hammarby have lost 2 out of the first 3 games. If they lose a 4th against some farmers from Gothenburg, sorry, Varberg's boys, I think it could be mental. So I'm definitely intrigued by which team turns up, and also Mike stole the match that I was going to choose. So
sorry, I had to get there first once.
Yeah. Who have you chosen, Mike?
I have chosen Norrköping versus Malmo, which I think so far this season, these are the 2 best teams I've seen play. And I am really intrigued to see what will happen in this match. Sigurdsson might be injured. He might be out.
Yeah, I saw a great
meme issue.
I saw a great meme that he's injured his back from carrying the entire Norrköping team for the first 3 games. Hopefully he's back.
Yeah, if he's back, then they can put on a really good show, I reckon. And maybe these are the 2 title contenders. Who knows? Ooh, but anyway, best teams I've seen so far this season. So let's see how this works out.
Well, yeah, as much as I'm never going to convince Neil to let me watch another Hammarby match, so I'm actually going to back you on this one, Mike, because I think Norrköping Malmo would be my game of the week if you hadn't got there first. So, Neil, I think you're outnumbered. There won't be any Doughy Rapids against Elfsborg, but we will be watching.
Fair, you're going to be watching that Hammarby match anyway, aren't you? You little leprechaun.
100%.
You little leprechaun, you.
You haven't even noticed, I put the green lights on today as well in the background.
I was literally going to just talk about it. I was literally just about to talk about it.
That was mainly for you, Neil. All right. This podcast has run a bit long, but when you have as many outrageously fantastic talking points that we have gifted to us by the gods of Allsvenskan, then you just got to get them out. Then let's wrap it up then. Thanks everyone who's made it through this marathon episode. Let's see what happens next week when there's no real standout massive games. So let's see what happens. We can tune into the finer things in Allsvenskan life. Thank you from me. Let's have a great weekend. Peace.
All right.
Adios.
See you later.